AC, Rob here. I've been waiting to feel better in order to do my top of 2017, but it's getting a little past 2017 now, so I figure I'm just going to get on and going to do it. Still a bit under the weather. It's just hanging on. Can't get rid of it, but so I feel like crap a little bit, and probably going to show, and I don't care. Anyway, I'm going to do a top 17 of 2017. These will be my personal favorite albums from 2017, new releases only. Decided to do 17 because I have quite a bit from this year. And again, my list, it's all that matters to me. If you don't like my list, that's fine. I don't expect you to like everything on my list, just like I don't like everything on your guys' list. So it's just my personal favorites from this year. I hate doing the disclaimer thing, but it seems like every time you do a best of something, you lose subs. Whatever. So I'm going to get into this. I'm going to show the album. I'm going to maybe say a thing or two about it. A lot of these you guys will know. My number one obviously is obvious, so it won't be too much of a build up for that. So I will get into this and we'll get going, and here we go. My top 17 new releases of 2017. Number one is a band called Nocturnal. Number 17. Yeah, I'll get this right. Number 17 in the list is Nocturnal Rites with Phoenix. This is their new album. Hard to explain. Power metal, a little bit symphonic, a little bit progressive at times. Not their best album, but still a killer album on its own. It's also Year of the Colored Vinyl. You can't really see it, but that's like a black and blue marble. So there's number 17, Nocturnal Rites. I will put links to all video or two, maybe the whole album if it's on YouTube, in my description, so you guys can go through it and listen to it if you haven't heard of them. Number 16 is a real surprise. Came out of the blue. I seen a video out of nowhere, and I looked it up, and it turns out they just released an album. One album was coming out, so I decided to pick it up, and man, am I glad I did. The album's called Appice. It is Carmine and, oh my god, how do I not know this? Vinny Appice on the drums. Basically, there's two drummers in the band, and they play together. The song I heard was, what is it, Monsters and Heroes? It has Paul Shortino on vocals. It was a killer song. So I bought the album not knowing much about it, and then when I got it, I found out it has a bunch of singers, a bunch of players, guitar players, and of course the mainstay is the Appice brothers. But it turns out it's a fantastic album. I mean, I hope they do more releases. The album's called Sinister, and I got this for like 15 bucks. It's a double vinyl, colored vinyl. Comes with the CD and all, and it was like 15 bucks at the time I found it on Amazon. So I was really, really pleased with this overall. And this snuck in because this was a late entry. Just a fantastic album in my opinion. Solid all the way through. Another one that, another new album. This is a later release. I think this came out in November, but the vinyl didn't get here till like beginning of December, or maybe November, I can't remember. Excuse me. But you might be shocked by these next two albums, but it's Autograph. Yes, the Autograph we all know, except not the Autograph we all know. It has a different vocalist. It is not Steve Plunkett, who you think it would be. Steve Plunkett gave him the okay to go do the band. Plunkett didn't want to sing. But it's, if you heard of a band called Jailhouse, Danny Simons, I think, is on vocals here. And this is more of a hard rock, a solid hard rock album than it is the old hair metal Autograph. really, really good album. Real surprisingly good album. I generally don't like when they change singers in the band, especially when they're so drastic like this. You know, usually they try to find a sound alike. Sounds nothing like Plunkett. And it's called Get Off Your Ass. That's also the single. Again, it's limited on blue vinyl, blue splatter vinyl. But that was a big surprise this year of how good this album really is. Next, I know this band gets a ton of hate because everybody bases off at one or two albums, which even those albums are good once you get beyond the big songs that drove you crazy. And that's Europe's latest, called Walk the Earth. Again, their hair band sound has been gone for 4 or 5 albums now since their return, and this is a great album. This one has grown on me so much that I find myself trying not to play it. John Norum's in the band, and I love John Norum as a guitar player. Very hard rock oriented, again, like Autograph. It has the original members in there, original singer. Just a good hard rock album. It's nothing like you expect from Europe. But if you know Europe from the past 4 or 5 albums, it's that style of band, that style of music right now they're in. It's still not good as War of Kings. That album is fantastic, but it's up there. It made my top 17 of 17. And another one that I've been playing a whole lot. It's also a very new release. The vinyl came out a month after, and I didn't get the CD. I just waited for the vinyl, and that is Sweet and Lynch Unified. I mean, how can you go wrong with Michael Sweet and George Lynch on guitar? I mean, Sweet singing as well. Just fantastic hard rock, verging on a little metal. And you know, you see Lynch and Sweet and you think Striper or Dokken. It's nothing like that. It's quite surprising how different they sound. This is their second album, actually. I still need their first one. Again, just a fantastic album. The album cover is badass. So that's a really good album. And I think that was what? 17, 16, 15, 14. That was number 13. Now number 12. I love this band. I know they're kind of an act, but they're also very talented musicians, and the singer is a killer singer. And I've seen them live, and they were great live. And that is Steel Panther with Low in the Bar. This is their best album since was it Field of Steel? Yeah, I think it's Field of Steel. This is their best album since. And green vinyl. But I know everybody thinks of them as a joke, but it's great music too. Great, the songs are dirty as hell, but there ain't nothing wrong with that. But just a good hair metal band, like we all remember hair metal was. Party and chicks and all that good stuff. Lost count again. Where we at here? Let me look at my list. I think that was 13, right? 17, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11. So we're down to 10? I lost track. My brain's not functioning right. 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12. Okay, we're down to number 11. Another comeback band of the year. They brought back the original singer, and the album's fantastic. It's very comparable to their debut and Cocked and Loaded. And if you know what I'm talking about, that's LA Guns' newest, The Missing Piece. Pieces or Piece? I think it's Missing Piece. I don't even say on the damn thing. Missing Piece. Like, Peace. Great album. There's some killer tracks on there like Speed and the one that I can't think of offhand. But If you like old LA Guns, Phil Lewis is back, so he's singing in the band again, so it sounds like... If you like the first two albums of LA Guns, you'll really like this album. And that's number 11. I know this isn't the greatest 2017 list, but it's good. My mouth's getting dry. Alright, down to number 10. Number 10, George Lynch makes the list again with his band Lynch Mob. This is probably their best album, in my opinion, since Wicked Sensation, which is totally different than the sound in this one. This is very bluesy, hard rock, and my cat is scratching the table and shaking the camera. Very bluesy, hard rock, excellent album. Really shocking how good this was. You know, I've been kind of disappointed in their last couple. And he changed, you know, he had a different singer. I think it was Robert Mason. And I'm not a big Robert Mason fan. Tony Logan's been back the last couple of albums, and I love his voice. And I love it as the hair metal sound. I love it as the blues sound. Really good. Really great album, obviously. Made my top 17. This is like that half speed, the 45 RPM version. There's only 300 copies of these released. Rat Pack Records. Number 9 is a band called Sons of Apollo. Those of you who have this, you all know this album is friggin' phenomenal. And this has quite a few, it's like a super group. It has Mike Portnoy on drums, Billy Shane on bass, Jeff Scott Sono on vocals, Bumblefoot on guitar, the guy's name from Dream Theater, old keyboardist I can never say, Derek Sherinian, and there's another guitarist, I thought. One second, I gotta look at that because, like I said, it's kind of a super group, so. Of course, I can't remember who it is. No, that's it. It was just those 5 guys. I thought there was a second guitarist, but there's not. Anyway, so that's that. It's Sons of Apollo, the album is. It's a 3-sided and it has edged 4th side. But fantastic, fantastic album. Hard rock, touches of progressive, a little groove to it. I hate giving an explanation. It's just a great album. It wouldn't have made my list if it wasn't. But Sons of Apollo. It's on that Inside Out label, which has been putting out some great bands. I think this is my first female entry into the thing. My top 8 have a few female fronted singers. And number 8 is Kobra and the Lotus with Prevail 1. They originally done this as this is a kind of like, I always compare like the female version of Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden. This album's a little more popular than most of their stuff, but it's still fantastic. It's called Prevail 1, and heavy metal. It's just straight heavy metal, you know, Iron Maiden-ish. Again, this one's a little more popular than their past a couple albums. So when I say that, don't take it on this album mainly, but if you go back and listen to 50 Ways of Evil and Soldier and stuff like that, I hear a Maiden influence, modern, obviously. So that's a kick-ass album. And this originally was on a Kickstarter program, and it was supposed to be a double album, and then they got picked up by Century Media or Nuclear Blast, one of those, Napalm, picked them up, so they wind up turning it into 2 releases. So they released one this year, and they're going to release Prevail 2 next year. Which sucks for us Kickstarter people, because I was, I paid for it 4 months before, this was even out or people were signed. So I didn't get the vinyl version at the time. I got the CD version at the time. So I'll get the CD when the second part comes out, and then I'll have to go and buy the vinyl. We got back to back female vocalists. Number 7 is the second album with this vocalist incarnation. The old singer left for personal reasons. She still manages the band and stuff like that, and she's always been the band's manager, from what I understand. And this is our foray into the heavier side of my list, and that's Arch Enemy with Will to Power. Jeff Loomis joined the band here, and you can really tell the influence of him on this album. This is a fantastic album. I know I've seen some people say that this is a limited release on the yellow clear vinyl. I know I've seen some people really not like this album. I'm like, it's got Jeff Loomis on it now. How could it be bad? This is better than their earlier release with Alyssa from The Agonist. If you guys know The Agonist, that's where she came from. They left on bad terms. But if you like this band, go check out The Agonist, their old stuff, and they have a new singer as well, who's killer. Sounds similar to Alyssa. Might be a tad bit bitter. But number 7 is Arch Enemy with Will to Power. And this is kind of that heavy, heavy death metal vocal with heavy melodic power metal, I'd say. I mean, it's not really thrash in my opinion. It's more power metal with a throaty vocal by a female. They actually add a little bit of melody vocals into that album, which I was shocked. Number 6. Not a band very many people know, although you should know. It's a band from Canada with another female singer. What's her name? Brittany Blaze, and their girl can sing her ass off. And that album is Unleash the Archers, and it is Apex. This is a gold vinyl version. Again, a lot of color vinyl this year. If you like straight up power metal with soaring vocals, this girl can hit some high notes and carry them, man. So think good, heavy, technical power metal, I guess you could say. Killer band. These guys should be massively known. Check these guys out. Again, I'll leave links in my description below so you guys can run and listen to things you don't know. Alright, now we're down to the top 5 of 2017. Sorry guys, my mouth's getting dry. Such a great award show, right? Now this, again, is another band. This is their 4th album, I think, with the newer vocalist. But this is their best of the 4, in my opinion. This reminds me of the older band style. And that's the Accept, Rise of Chaos. This album is really good. Analog Man, Kool-Aid. What is the other song that I love? Worlds Colliding. I love that song too. The whole album's killer. Obviously, it's a top 5 album. It's Accept, Rise of Chaos. It's on the limited blue and orange vinyl. It's Accept. I mean, all their albums are good. In the past 3, I think it's 4 that he's been on. They're really great albums, don't get me wrong, but there's something about this one. Their albums wouldn't have made my top 10, 15 the last couple albums, but there's just something about this album that hits me just right. And that's why it's in my top 5. Yeah, 5. Everybody knows Accept, so I don't need to do much explaining to that. Number 4 on the list. These guys put an album out, it seems like every 2 years, and sometimes they get a little mundane or sound okay. I like everything by the band. It's kind of like Judas Priest to me. People have their different decades they like. I like everything this band puts out. I highly disagree with a lot saying that Their one album is their best album. That's all you need. If you're a fan, you get them all, even those ones you don't really like. And I'm a bit of a, OCD collector. If I like the band, I want it all. Full-length albums. I'm not really a bootleg or 7-inch collector, but if I find them, I pick them up. All that good stuff. Anyway, the band is Overkill, and the album is The Grinding Wheel. I love this album. I had it on my when I first got it. I had it on my turntable. This is the orange version. I had it on my turntable probably 2 or 3 days straight. Killer tracks on this that I can't think of right now because I'm trying to think of it. Oh, the title, the beginning track, Mean Green Killing Machine. I love that damn song. Come Heavy is really good. The bonus on this is called Emerald. It's one of the few times that I would take a track off to add that to the actual album instead of being the bonus, because we all know not many times bonus tracks are really that great. So, I'm going to outdo my album side. So now we're down to my top 3. You guys know what number 1 is. These are going to be probably bands most don't know, or very, but you really need to check these guys out. This guy is actually from 2 bands that I liked a lot. One I loved. One band was called Dreamland, which they still exist. They still accompany an album, according to him, so they're still going to be putting out one more album at least. And then he was in another band called Amaranth. I don't know how it's said. That's how I say it. It always sounds like Amaranthi, or it's Amaranth is how I'm going to say it. Which they have a triple vocalist. They have a male lead, female clean lead, female male clean lead, and a male heavy throaty that death sound. Their latest album, I think, to my understanding, there's really not been a lot said. The clean singer, Jake E, left the band because he thinks that, I think, this is what my understanding is, that they got a little too poppy. And their new album, they totally did get poppy. It didn't even make it wouldn't make my top 50 of 17, to be honest with you. There's 1 or 2 good songs on there, and the rest it's like Taylor Swift, in my opinion. Which sucked because that album before that was monstrous in my book. Anyway, the band's called Cyhra, and it's called Letters to Myself, right? This album, in my opinion, these next 3 are must-haves for 2017, in my opinion. There's a couple of players in here from other bands that, of course, now that I'm on camera, I am failing to remember. What's his name? Jesper Stromblad. I can't remember the band now. It comes from a power metal band. All these guys come from power metal bands, basically. And it's just a killer melodic hard rock metal. It has touches of everything in this thing, to my opinion. The guitar playing is excellent. Jake E. Lee's vocals are killer in this. This is Jake E. Lee's wheelhouse, which he's a favorite vocalist of mine. Jake E. Lee. Jake E. Album you must have. I don't know how to explain it. It's got a bit of everything in it. It's got all kinds of music in it. It's got a couple of, not full-on ballad, but ballady type power stuff. Just a great album. I mean, take a listen to it in my description below. If you don't like this, I'd be quite shocked. This falls into the Witherfall thing for me. Honestly, if these other 2 albums, 1 and 2, weren't out, this would probably be my number 1 album. That's how good it is, to me, at least. Band's called Cyhra, and Letters to Myself. Now, this next album is a female singer. This is a new band. She's been around a while. She's been in bands like, I got cat whiskers inside my album that's covered with. She's been around a while. She played in a band called The Gathering. She's done some solo stuff. She's done some guest stuff. But this is a full-fledged band, and I bought this based on her voice. She's got one of those voice of an angel kind of singers. And the band is called Vuur or Vuur, however you want to say it, V-U-U-R. And it's In This Moment We Are Free Cities. Every album has a title and then a city name. I don't understand that part, but if you like symphonic power metal, it's a great driving music with a super sweet voice, but it works. It's not that over operatic stuff. It's not that too soft kind of stuff you hear sometimes. The vocals are perfect for this music. This would be my #1 album of the year if it wasn't for my #1 album of the year. So Vuur, In This Moment We Are Free Cities. It's kind of an expensive album. It's just the black vinyl version. There's a red and silver, which I'd like to get. But fantastic album. This was another one of those albums that I got, and it sat on my turntable for a week and a half. Every time I walked in, I popped it on because I had to hear it. It's a double LP. It's a triple side LP with the edge side. I think that's right. Anyway, fantastic album. It's kind of weird to say it's such a mellowing album for a metal album, because it is a metal album. It's such a mellow, soothing, it's hard to explain. It's just really a soothing album to me. I, again, am a huge female vocalist fan, and I love that heavy metal sound with the power, the groove, and then you got this great female voice flowing over top of it. You can't beat it. That would be my #1, if not for the not surprising #1 coming up. Anyway, anybody want to guess what #1 for 2017 is for me? Let me take a drink. My #1 album of the year, all 27 copies of it I have, is Witherfall, Nocturnes and Requiems. This is a fantastic album. This is probably one of my favorite albums in the past 20 years. This album gets spun at least once a week on my turntable. It's in my my CD player. At least once a week on my turntable. Probably 2 times on my CD player a week. I for a while there, it's pretty much the only thing I listened to when I got it. I am totally addicted to this band. And they're very good guys. The singer is from he did a White Wizard's last album. That's where he comes from. He sung on that album. Jake Dreyer is a phenomenal guitar player, done work with Kobra and the Lotus.